Hey guys, it's Mystic Rain here, and today we're going to be talking about love spells, love magic, and why you probably should not do them. So, love spells is a tricky thing because immediately one of the first thing that comes in is integrity, ethics, your own personal moral code, and your character, right? I am someone that advocates for love spells when you're doing the magic on yourself. Meaning, if you're looking for love, you do love spells on yourself. It turns you into like this energetic beacon where you start flashing to the universe. And then people start being drawn to you like moths to a flame. That's the way I recommend doing love spell. You should do it on yourself, right? You should also do love spells on yourself for self-love development because you're not going to find love if you haven't yet learned how to love yourself. But that's the cute, kitschy stuff. That's not why we're here today. We're here because most likely you clicked this video because you probably were thinking about doing a love spell on maybe somebody else. And that's the thing that we really need to talk about because this is where things get real gray and you easily slide into the black and you turn it into black magic. And that's not what we want to do. White magic is not manipulating somebody else's free will. The moment you start manipulating somebody else's free will is the moment you start crossing over into dark magic, and that's the moment you really start messing with the wheel of karma, and you don't want to get into that place. You do not want to do love magic on somebody else. If you are successful, it's almost like kidnapping someone and bringing them to the altar. Would you want to be kidnapped and forced to walk down the altar? You should only want to be with somebody anyway that wants to be with you. And if you are in a place where you want to do love magic to force someone to be with you that doesn't want to be with you, then you really need to start looking at yourself and examining what that says about you and where your self-esteem is, right? But when you start messing with other people's free will, you start playing with your own personal wheel of karma. All right. Also, spells and love spells really are only going to work with someone that has a simple mind. If you are dealing with someone that has a resilient mind, most likely it won't work on them anyway. Someone has to have a really weak mind in order for a spell like that to take over. And the thing is, then you have to question who you are as a person for you to then prey, because that's what you're doing on somebody else. You are becoming a predator if it's okay with you to do magic to take over somebody else's free will, okay? Also, you have to consider the fact that there is divine will and everyone's on their own journey and their own path. And even though you may be attracted to them in this moment, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's supposed to be in your life for your long-term journey in order for your soul to evolve. And the same thing vice versa for the other person that you're with. Another thing to take into consideration is the fact that all spells break at some point in time, okay? What you don't want to be is in a situation when you're with this person. Maybe you guys live together at that point. Maybe you're even married or you had kids, and that was if you're successful. And I do want to point out that is really, really, really rare. But let's say you made it to that point, right? And you got that far, or you're sleeping in the same bed next to this person, and then a love spell breaks. Do you think that that is a safe place for you to be in when they snap out of it? My best guess is probably no, that it's not, okay? Also, another thing to take into consideration is that there's always going to be resistance if you put somebody under a love spell. It'll never be a situation where the relationship is calm, where there's healthy love. There'll be a lot of fights. There'll be a lot of pulling away because their spirit will know that something's kind of off and they will always be trying to get away from you, and you and them won't really understand why the dynamic is the way it is. And then probably one thing that most people don't take in consideration that may actually be somewhat close to the top of list of things that you need to look out for and need to consider is the fact that even though you want this person today, that doesn't mean you're going to want this person tomorrow. We all have a switch. All it takes is for someone to say the wrong thing. I know I'm like that. Say one thing that I don't like, do one thing that I think is disrespectful. Let me think that you crossed one of my boundaries, and that's the last time that you actually hear from me. You may not like this person next week. You may think that you are so in love right now and that it's meant for you guys to be together. And then maybe you find somebody else and you're like, ooh, that's a little bit sparkly and I want that one. But now you can't get rid of this person because you put them on a spell. People that are under spells also kind of act like boomerangs. You have to think of it like that. Sometimes you want to get rid of them after so long because the crush has worn off, you've fallen out of love, maybe you met someone else, or you just in general want to move on, and then you want to get rid of them and you can't get rid of them because they're under their spell and they keep coming back. And you keep trying to get rid of them and they keep coming back, and then you can't actually get rid of the person. So love spells will also be bad for you too in the long run. And then you also have to consider what that does to the karma wheel and your karmic debt and how it adds to that. Because what you are doing essentially is harming another person. And you will have to pay for that. If you're not paying for that in this lifetime, you'll be paying for that in the next lifetime. And trust me when I tell you, it is something that you really don't want to have to deal with in terms of its aftermath. So I hope this helps, guys. Anyone that was considering doing a love spell in that particular way, I hope that this was enough to make you at least stop and reconsider. And as always, guys, if you like what you see, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys soon.